Hi, I'm John Tanaka, Rangeland Economist with Oregon State University and the Eastern Oregon Agricultural Research Center in Union, and I'm here to present an Eastern Oregon Ag Minute. This week I'll be visiting with you about ranching and keeping ranching communities sustainable. There are three parts to that sustainability word: ecology, economics, and social, that all add up to leaving your part of the world in better shape for your kids and their kids. The real question is, how do you take care of the basic resources, your family, and your community all at the same time? Beyond that, how do you tell your neighbors and that person in downtown Portland how and what you're doing? During the rest of the week, I'll be talking with you about these different parts of ranching sustainability. Yesterday I posed the question of how you explain to your neighbors and the person in downtown Portland how and what you're doing. You really need to be able to explain how you are taking care of the natural resources that you're using. As your livestock are grazing on rangelands, for example, are you managing them to reduce the impacts on sensitive environmental areas or to improve conditions of other areas? If you are, how can you show that? Monitoring the impacts of livestock grazing on vegetation, soils, water, wildlife habitat, and other resources is becoming increasingly important. Telling the story to the world is just as important. Since I'm a researcher, that monitoring information can help us figure out where new information is needed. It can also help managers figure out what needs to be changed in the future. Sustainable economics for a particular ranch usually means being able to earn enough money to live on and to replace productive assets when they wear out. This is both a short and long-term view of the world. Depreciation is the money that should be saved to replace things when they wear out. That money is not saved, but rather consumed with current purchases. We call that living off depreciation. Depending on your debt load, that may or may not be sustainable in the long run. These two views are related. If you don't earn enough money in the short term, replacing long-term assets doesn't matter. In any case, we need to be able to monitor how ranchers are doing economically, just as we did with monitoring grazing. Just as ranches have different levels of dependency on different sources of forage, ranching communities have different levels of dependency on ranching businesses. In Oregon, we range from counties that are very dependent on ranching to those that have very few full-time ranches. What we know is that in the counties that are highly dependent on income from ranching, the pressures to change ranching can have significant effects. These impacts not only include the loss of businesses supported by ranching, but can also change the social structure of the community as well. Sometimes these changes are for the better, and sometimes for the worse. As with ecology and economics, the need to monitor such changes will help as communities grapple with both the good and the bad. Over the last week, I've talked about the need to monitor ecological, economic, and social conditions to be able to say something about ranching sustainability. Each of the parts is as important as the other. Think of it as a three-legged stool. If you cut off one of the legs, either your balance better be really good or the stool is going to fall over. If you cut off two of the legs, good luck staying up. Sustainability is a concept that can be applied at all levels, from the individual family to the community, the state, and the nation. Each of the levels is an important part of all the other parts. It's up to each of you to help do the monitoring and ensure that the information collected is good. All that good monitoring information can be used to explain to that person walking down the street in Portland what you're doing for the environment, the economy, and the community. I'm John Tanaka, and it's been my pleasure visiting with you this week. Thanks for listening.